So this is a review for season 3. This is where I'm just picking up where I left off. Season 3, episode 12 and 13 of Doctor Who. The Sound of Drums and Last of the Time Lords. Sound of Drums. The Doctor, Martha, and Jack returned to the 21st century 18 months after the Doctor and Martha left. My bad. I said they picked up right where they left off. Nope. They went back 18 months later. They find they've missed the election, and the new Prime Minister, Harold Saxon, is someone they've met before, but another name. And then, episode 13, Last of the Time Lords. It's been a year since the Master unleashed the mysterious Techalthon onto Earth with the human race, and the Doctor enslaved under the Master's control. Martha Jones is the only person that can help stop the evil Time Lord. So, in The Sound of Drums, we find out who Harold Saxon is. He is the Master, who is the Professor. He is young again because he used the Lazarus experiment to become young. And he's had this plan in motion for those 18 months since he'd been back. He worked on it. He knew what he was doing. One thing about these two episodes that always makes me super fucking uncomfortable and sad is what the fuck? The fact that we find out that these, sphere creatures that invade the Earth because they're working for the Master are the people who went to Utopia and it wasn't Utopia. It was pretty much their death. And that was heartbreaking. That was fucking heartbreaking. So in these two episodes, it's chaotic. The Master is after the three of them, but he also uses Martha Jones's family to get to her. And the one thing we don't get to see is Jack's people, but there's some excuse for that. They get sent away or something on a mission in another country or something. It would have been awesome to get to see Jack's people involved in this. And this is also where the Doctor finds out that Jack works for Torchwood. The new Torchwood, not the bad Torchwood, but still Torchwood. We find out Harold Saxon is the Prime Minister. Again, he's after everyone. He uses the family to get to them. And he ends up getting them. He does. They use these keys to, mask themselves, but it doesn't work, in a sense. It works for a minute, but not all the way. He ages the Doctor progressively, so, he looks extremely old, and you can tell. I don't know how he did it, honestly. I don't remember. And he keeps re-killing Jack over and over again as, some kind of torture device, and it works, in a sense. He uses Martha's family as props, as a maid, as a servant. I don't remember what he uses her dad as, but he uses them to get to her. And it works because everyone ends up doing what he wants except for Martha Jones. Because she listened to the Doctor. He whispers, right as Harold Saxon was the Master, was about to win, in a sense. The Doctor says something to her, whispers in her ear, and she has one of those keys, and she hits Jack's time watch, which she has, and it takes her away. The thing that is fascinating about the next episode, which is episode 13, they talk about how she's traveled the entire world looking for a weapon to defeat the Master. And they lead you to believe that there's this weapon that can defeat him, that can kill a Time Lord, to have him not regenerate, not come back. And it's beautiful. And they show how she's a savior for all. And she she tells these people stories of this man, the Doctor, who saved the world thousands and thousands of times and has never asked for thank yous, has never asked for anything in return. But now we need to thank him. And I think once she's telling this story, and we realize what's going on, for me anyway, that's when it clicked. This isn't about Martha. She's not the hero, but she is. She is 100% the hero in this episode. It's about the Doctor. We need to save the Doctor, in a sense. This is where it was starting to click for me. And one thing that I will say about this episode is the betrayal from the scientist that they find. I knew was coming. I knew straight the fuck away was coming. This scientist was sketchy as shit, and even Martha said it. She said, "You need to know your enemies," and she gave her this look like, "I know you're my enemy, and I'm okay with it." So she ended up betraying Martha, calling the master and telling him that she's here. And that was the plan the whole time. Martha wanted to be caught because there was no weapon to defeat the master. There was no fucking weapon. She needed to get caught because she needed to end up back with the doctor, and she needed to end up right where she was. So when they ended up all back where they needed to be, basically where the master thinks he's going to win, is when she tells she plans play out. There was a plan in motion. There was, and it worked, and I love it. And anyway, thought I was having contractions for a minute. It's too soon for that, sir. Too soon. Where was I? Anyway, they have the plan set in motion. Martha's where she needs to be. Everyone's where they need to be. And she explains, I just needed everyone around the world at this exact point in time, when the clock runs down, to think of one word, to say one word, to all in unison use their... And this thing that he was trying to set off at the time was like a mind control thingy. And they all said this one word, which brought the doctor back to use in a sense, and made him able to take control, because they all said the doctor. They all thought about the doctor. The doctor was the key. And the whole time, the master's thinking that the doctor told Martha to kill him, to find a weapon to kill him, but the doctor would never do that. He would never have somebody killed for him. He did not even want to kill the master. Like, it played out so beautifully, I think. And it got to this point where you're watching the episode and you're like, this is such a beautiful moment, but the master needs to die. The master needs to fucking die. The doctor's like, oh, I can hold him captive in the TARDIS. He can be my prisoner. And Donna doesn't want to come anymore. She decides to say, oh, let me... Somehow, I forget how, and it's just my brain, I think it's the pregnancy brain taking over. They managed to erase that whole year that everything was taken over. That whole year is gone. And Harold Saxon is dead. His wife shoots him. And they're at the end of... They're back 18 months ago. Not 18 months ago. 12 months ago. When they first came back from Utopia. And the only people who can remember were the people who were in... Like the I don't know how to call it. Inside the ship, I guess. And so I'm not 100% sure where I left off, but I know I left off towards the end of the episode, when the only people who can remember were the people on the ship. And this is also where we find out that Jack Harkness is the face of Bo. He asked the doctor, I know I can't die, but I'm still aging. Is there anything, like, the doctor doesn't know, because this has never happened before. And he's like, I used to be a model, the face of Bo, they called me. And it's where we find out he's the face of fucking Bo. Which is a little confusing, because in one of the Face of Bo episodes, we find out, like, they say all of his people have died. Or people, like, in his species have died. And I remember seeing something about, I've never read the comics, but something about in the comics that the Face of Bo had children. So does that mean Jack can reproduce? Like, I don't know. My brain just went to him, like, giving birth. I don't know. And we also find out that Martha Jones is staying put and not joining the doctor. And this is where we get a new companion who I fucking hated and loved. So, what are your thoughts on Doctor Who episodes 12 and 13, Sound of Drums, and Last of the Time Lords? Please comment, like, subscribe.